The city's largest transportation union is sounding the alarm over Mayor Adams' proposal to ban horse-drawn carriage rides in the city. The issue has long been a point of contention, with animal rights activists pointing to incidents where carriage horses have been injured. But the Transport Workers Union says a ban would bring an end to a world-famous tradition and result in job losses. The union launched a $1 million ad campaign pushing back on the mayor. And joining me now to break this all down is the international president of TWU, John Samuelsen. He is the former head of Local 100 here in the city. Welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bobby.
So before we get into the politics of all this, just in terms of the policy debate, I mean, there have been incidents, right, where horses broke loose. There have been some accidents. There have been horses that collapsed in the street. There is some health and safety risk with the industry, right, or is there not?
No, there's not. One horse has broken loose, and the horse broke loose because a Parks Department truck encroached behind it in a way that was inappropriate. There were two tragic incidents where horses passed away, but they were not related to pulling the carriages. The horses were sick, and they died of natural causes, and it's a tragedy. And of course, there were nobody more heartbroken over that than the carriage drivers themselves.
So from your perspective, what do you say to the animal rights activists who say that this is an industry where horses are treated inhumanely?
So the so-called animal rights activists, and we'll get into that in a second, that's a political opinion on their part, strictly political. The equine veterinarians and equine medical professionals have consistently and steadfastly given a medical assessment that the horses are well treated, they're not at all mistreated, and that the industry is humane. Consistently, the animal rights people that are funded by, NYCLASS was founded by Manhattan real estate developers. They're funded by Manhattan real estate developers, have a political opinion that's driven by money. It's driven by outside money and a desire to develop the stables into condominium towers and develop the real estate. It has nothing to do with care about horses.
So let me ask you about the mayor's role in all this, because I don't remember the mayor talking about the horse carriages his first almost 4 years in office, and then just a few weeks ago he came out and proposed a ban. Did you have a sense that this was coming, or were you as surprised as many of the rest of us?
Not at all. It's an absolute blindside by Eric Adams, a stab in the back to TWU Local 100, to me personally. Eric Adams committed to me personally, to the president of TWU Local 100, to the workforce, that he would support these jobs. Eric Adams knows that the horses are treated humanely. The problem is that he sold out. He sold out to money. He sold out to big money donors. He sold out to this unholy alliance of Manhattan real estate and extremely wealthy social progressives.
So the mayor, in the time since then, has obviously dropped his bid for re-election. You guys have also launched this ad campaign going after the mayor. So, there's a lot going on. I almost wonder, why go after the mayor, given the fact that even a few weeks ago, his re-election chances seemed pretty dim, right? And also the chances of him actually getting this passed by the council before he leaves office at the end of the year are pretty slim as well, right?
Yeah, well, we initially launched a campaign against the mayor because when you're betrayed by a friend and an ally, next level retaliation is necessary by the Transport Workers Union, and everybody should remember that.
So what happens now? Because we know that the three remaining candidates for mayor have talked about supporting a ban. We don't know about the next city council speaker, right? We don't know who the next city council speaker will be. But how do you approach this going forward, not knowing what's going to happen after January?
Yeah, I don't know that every mayoral candidate has spoken about supporting a ban. I don't know that to be true. I've heard, of course, Curtis Lee would talk about that. I've heard Cuomo jump on the bandwagon. The truth is, he doesn't give a rat's ass about the horses. Come January, the horses will be the least important thing on his agenda. He said it because everybody else was saying it. And I know Zoran answered a question on a NYCLASS questionnaire months before he thought he was going to win the Democratic primary. We've had conversations with Zoran, and I believe him to be, regardless of what anybody thinks of his politics, you can agree, you can disagree, and I understand reasons why people would agree and disagree. Regardless of anything, I think he's the most honest candidate in the race, and he has committed that the TW will be a stakeholder in those conversations going forward. and we trust him at his word. The industry is not inhumane. We expect that Zoran will come to the stable, see for himself, talk to veterinary experts, equine experts, and we're going to hold him to that. There's 170 jobs at stake. They're largely immigrant jobs. Zoran has seen this before in the taxi industry. The circumstances are very, very similar, and we do not believe that he will come into office, make a blind decision, listening to the politics of the so-called animal rights experts, and blindly try to do away with the industry. We don't think he'll do it. We think he'll stand with the workers.
So in your conversations with Mamdani, he's still open-minded. He doesn't seem like he's decided in favor of a ban.
Oh, he certainly has not made commitments to us that he won't do it.
Right.
And we understand that he has concerns about the industry, and we take those concerns seriously. We have urged him to establish a panel of medical experts to get to the bottom of this once and for all, to disprove the so-called animal rights experts once and for all, to stop measuring things on by political opinion, and let's get to a medical assessment. That's what we want.
You know, the proposal from the mayor, which of course doesn't really go anywhere unless the city council goes along with it, but he has committed to try to find work for some of the carriage horse drivers who would be put out of work by a horse carriage ban, potentially these electric carriages that have been talked about. Does that not address some of the concerns about job losses?
No, not at all. The provisions that he's talking about don't exist in the bill at the city council. And by the way, the electric carriages, I'm glad you brought it up, because the animal rights activists, so-called animal rights activists, fall into two categories. They either want to develop the stables into the lucrative Manhattan stables, or they want to monetize the electric cars that they want to replace the horses with. That's what the animal rights activists are. They have an angle on everything. They either want to get rich off Manhattan real estate where the stables are, or they want to make money selling the electric cars to the people that they want to replace the horses. So that's their angle. Their angle is not animal rights. So, and by the way, the provision at the city council, it has no just transition for the workers in it. It's very vague language. We've seen vague language like this before. That type of vague language is put into legislation when legislators like Bob Holden want to do nothing for workers. So that's what he's trying to accomplish.
So TW, as I understand it, did not endorse a candidate for mayor in the June primary. How do you size up the race now? Will TW potentially endorse a candidate in the general election?
So the international TW does not generally endorse in local races. We have several locals in New York City. Those discussions are underway. The horse and carriage industry is very important to us as a national union. The conversations are underway. I want to point out one more thing. Aqueduct Racetrack. Horses die at Aqueduct Racetrack of exertion. They're whipped right on television. Not one of the signatories on that bill on the city council and not one of the animal rights activists have conversations about Aqueduct. It's right in Bob Holden's backyard. It demonstrates the hypocrisy and the inconsistency of the so-called animal rights activists and those on the city council that signed on to that bill. And there's a reason for that. Aqueduct, there's no expensive Manhattan real estate there, and there's no chance to monetize electric carriages to replace the racehorses at Aqueduct. So they don't care about Aqueduct, where horses actually do die from exertion. Horses are put out of their misery at Aqueduct all the time, but nobody says peep about it because there's not money to be made there by rich donors.
All right, John Samuelsen, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you.